Hi and welcome to the Cult TV Sofa. This is a reaction video of the pilot episode of Automan. I loved these kind of shows when I was little, and whilst I certainly watched some of Automan back then, I doubt I watched them all because I was quite little at the time, and I definitely don't remember them. The details I do know are it had a computer expert, a hologram, a fancy car and helicopter, and it was very, very cheesy. I highly doubt the tech will stand up to today's scrutiny, but let's see what happens in this episode. I'm going to put any relevant trivia that I find over here, and at the end of the reaction I'm going to be discussing what happened and my thoughts about the episode. And I'm going to start it in 3, 2, 1. Oh, he was actually a policeman. So the car, because it was based on a computer, I think it always does a left, right, immediate. There's no curves. It was always angled. Cursor, flying cursor.
This is the true story of Walter Nebeker.
Unlikely.
Doing what he likes best, fighting crime in the streets. You see, Walter's a policeman. Unfortunately, the chief doesn't want Walter on the streets.
Captain, get back to your cage, boy. Now!
Ooh,
So Walter must fight crime in his own way, in the computer room. That's where he's an expert. Fortunately for me, Walter's advanced knowledge of electronics led him to experiment with what is called a hologram. That's a very fancy word for a three-dimensional picture that, when perfected, can be made to look real.
Yeah, exactly.
Sound real. As a matter of fact, given enough power, it can even be made to feel real.
No.
That's kind of what got me into this world.
They don't make shows like this anymore, do they?
My name is Automan. You must be Walter Nebeker.
How did you know that?
It's on the programming you fed into my system. I must say, Walter, you're very good. Very good indeed. I look wonderful.
If you do say so yourself.
Well, you programmed me to be honest. But tell me, why did you call me Automan?
It means that you're the world's first truly automatic man.
Automatic man.
You can do anything because you're not real.
Oh, but I am. I'm as real as you are.
Something
Just
odd
different.
about his eyes.
Thanks to you. Perfect.
Nobody's perfect, Automan.
Well, that's not true, Walter. You've programmed me to observe other people and do whatever they can do as well as they can do it. Jimmy Connor's playing tennis, John Travolta dancing. In fact, on a scale of 1 to 10, think of me as an 11.
Yeah, just because you're better than the best doesn't mean you're perfect.
No, what Walter really created was a wonderful force for good.
That can't have been cheap to do. Plus it was running without lights. I'm amazed we're allowed to fly. Ah, Los Angeles.
We're ready.
Mr. Wells.
Kidnapped or
Thank goodness
dead?
we caught you in time. In time for what? I was just about to catch a plane.
Mr. Davis would like you to phone him before you board.
This is class.
You'll never be the same.
That's not good, I don't think.
Cheers.
Dun 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 dun. That sounds like good music. I reckon they're good guys. Yeah, you don't shoot someone on a small plane like that. You don't shoot someone on a big plane, but not on a small plane like that. A bullet would carry through, depressurize the plane, and they all die.
All ready for you, Jack. What have you got?
I don't know, just bits and pieces about this rash of kidnappings. Another scientist disappeared last week. Here, look, I want you to just copy down names, numbers, anything you find on any little scraps.
Right.
Place, then you find out from the airline computer who else was on the flight, who paid for the ticket, right?
I highly doubt they could do any of that back then. That would be a nightmare on a computer system that old.
Another young engineer flying to London for Supertech has been diverted from his boarding gate by two men.
When?
Just now. He's making a phone call verifying their credentials, and then they're taking them to the other side of the airport to the private jet terminal. It has to be the same MO they used last week.
All right, stay put. I'll be right down.
I may not have anything for a couple of days.
A couple of days to do that cross-referencing, whereas by today's standards, you could probably do it in hours.
Oh, no, everything seems to be in order. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You have a nice flight. Good night.
He can connect Wilson to the plane.
What are you doing?
Surely people will be here, especially on an airport, they'll be hearing the gunshots and everything. Why on earth would creating a hologram do all of that?
It was a hologram.
What?
An electronic simulation in 3 dimensions.
But you can't just create it out of thin air. It would need to be projected by something.
Oh, well, I programmed in all kinds of good stuff for super sleuthing, from James Bond to Sherlock Holmes.
That's just feeding in a story. That's not the ability to use the skills. That's just repeating what's already been done in the story.
Isn't ready to come out.
Isn't ready.
So that implies he's got consciousness.
It won't appear unless it's ready. That's the way computers work.
No, it's not. It more likely appear with an error.
The captain won't let anybody talk to me. He doesn't believe in computers.
Give it a few years, he might change his mind.
The top engineer disappeared before he got on his flight to London.
Top engineer? What is this? What kind of loonies are behind this?
So is someone kidnapping scientists? It's very James Bond, isn't it? In fact, I think it did happen in a James Bond film, didn't it?
Drink in the freshness of the Alps, Lieutenant. This will be your home for some time. I just want you to know that we'll be interrogating you as soon as you're a little stronger. But then I hope you'll realize that your best interests are our best interests.
He's of no worth to them whatsoever after the interrogation.
What's the matter?
We haven't time to ride in that.
Cause a bit of a heap of junk.
The city's power requirements will treble at dawn. You must ride with me.
In what?
Cursor?
Okay. So he draws so much power that he can only really be there at night because of the power draw.
Man, do you have a set of wheels?
Get in.
That looks like a Lamborghini. I love the sound. It's an electric car.
You'll never make the turn.
Seatbelt? I wonder how she did that. I assume they cut frames out of the film. It actually looked quite effective the way it slid like that.
How do you propose to?
I can only show you. Come. Enter my dimension.
That sounds a bit dodgy.
Move into my form.
That's what he says to all the guys and girls.
The door's locked. How are you going to get inside?
The molecular structure of this building is like a sieve to me.
Meaning what? You can see through the walls?
See through them. I can walk through them.
Okay, you might be able to, but I would have thought as soon as he walks through, Walter would have bounced out because he, even though he's inside him, he's still It's not like he's digital now or electric. He wouldn't be able to pass through.
I can see 8 life forms seated in the room at the end of this corridor. We must get there before the meeting breaks up. We may get vital information.
So he didn't just see through one wall, he saw through a couple. So he really can see like a see-through structure of the whole building.
Forget the files. We have more important things to take care of. What's the matter?
My power grows weaker.
Exactly. That's what would have happened downstairs.
I'm afraid my batteries need charging.
So that also implies that he's holding the power in his form.
Stop or I'll shoot!
So bullets can pass. Well, I suppose if he can phase, bullets would pass through. They might pass through him, but they wouldn't pass through Walter.
There he goes!
What if the car park's got a curved exit, which a lot of them do? He's stuffed because he can't curve. He got to go left and right.
Cursor?
The girl they were...
That's quite a cool effect, the way it disappeared.
You're dimming.
Right now, this moment, I can feel 3 million toasters, waffle irons, and television sets turning on.
That kind of makes sense that at night there's more power. Although they would probably turn the power output down at night. So yes, there's less power being used, but there's less power being produced as well. So it would actually balance it out a bit.
This is Tanya Dubois.
This is Walter Nebeker. I work for Lieutenant Jack Curtis.
Tonight, 7:30. Mott and Elizabeth Street.
That's Chinatown.
You must come alone. No other officer may even know about this rendezvous.
She has no proof that he's who he says he is. She took a long time to pull a gun.
You okay, Captain?
Doug McClure is quite a big name to have in the show for what he's done so far. Is he a good guy, a bad guy?
Oh, I was just talking out loud.
Bad guy.
Habit, kid.
I had a feeling he was just too big a name to be used in a small bit part. He had to be.
We'll never make it in traffic.
No problem. I happen to know the
Traffic light computer quite well.
Hmm.
I know.
Put them all to green.
Green, please.
Of course, Automan.
I don't think it mattered though, because from what you said earlier, even if he went through a red light and another car hit him, he could phase through it, so it doesn't really matter. In fact, why even stay to the road? So you could just drive in a straight line through the buildings.
Put me down!
Okay, so
Naughty
super strong
boy.
as well.
Don't hurt me!
Where is that plane going?
I don't know. Switzerland, but I don't know where.
Taking him with you.
I just hope you don't fly like you drive.
So it's like a jet plane?
You do?
Hmm.
What's the plan? We're here and they're there.
We simply follow them to their destination.
America to Switzerland. So he's travelling from America to Switzerland, which is going to be quite a few hours. When his power gets low, he disappears. Which means if the power goes when he's in flight, those two, Walter and that other guy, are going to plummet to their death. I don't see how that could work. It's like out The Last Starfighter.
They don't appear to have a very large power supply.
So he's taking power from around him.
Otto, you can't bring me here to these mountains with all these criminals and just leave me here naked.
He was travelling forward at a fair speed. They would be ripped to shreds as they carry on rolling on the floor. Again, if he draws power from all around him, when they were in flight over the ocean, there's no power to draw.
I don't get it. What is all this?
A prison, if I were to judge by the guards and fortifications.
Does this look like a
Yep.
prison?
Can we leave?
Where would you go?
It could still look amazing, but prison's a prison if you can't go.
What is going on here, Jack? This looks like a resort.
Look around you. You see all these people here? Each one of them made the mistake of becoming invaluable to his or her respective company, at which point a price was put on their heads to protect them.
By whom?
By the same companies they were working for before they were kidnapped.
So the minute they threaten to leave to go to work for someone else, Global Guard is brought in.
That's right. And the men no longer shirk their responsibilities. They sit here, they work, and they are treated to the finest luxuries that life can afford. Swimming, skiing, all the pretty ladies. I mean, what more could a man want?
Their family, their children. So are they working, the work they're doing, is it for this global security company, or is it, are they still working for the company that they were going to leave? I don't see how that could be financially viable as a plan to do that. It would cost a fortune to keep them there and to give them all the equipment to work on. I don't understand who gets the benefit.
We've got to find a computer bank.
Computer bank. There must be plenty of those with all the engineers they've got working here.
What do you want with a computer?
I need to feed a little data into my information bank back home.
How can you do that?
A telephone modem.
They'd be cut off, surely. They wouldn't let any of the scientists have access to the outside world in any kind of way, so they'd have no telephone lines, no modem connections. Why would there be a wind? Why would there be a physical reaction to generating the hologram? I know it's just for the TV.
Cursor! You made it!
Well, what's the point in having Cursor? I know he creates the vehicles by the looks of it, but he's going to be drawing power as well. Surely better to have him only appear when necessary. It's just the way he appears in that stance.
We must beat them to the airport.
Say no more.
Yeah, they're doing frame cuts to make it look like it's doing those angles. Obviously, it does curve, but they cut the bits out for the curve. It's quite effective.
What do you think we should do to make them feel like they've successfully escaped?
I was thinking about that. Can Cursor duplicate any kind of vehicle?
Their own airplane, for instance?
I would not be happy being in that vehicle, knowing that at any second it could just disappear.
This is where we part company, my dear.
We will find you.
I think not. I've millions stashed away in Swiss accounts.
Why not shoot them? Or take her with you as a hostage? Why would you leave her there? Taking her with you as a hostage is the best thing to do. They can't shoot the plane down or do anything, and you can just use her as leverage wherever you then land. That would be quite scary, opening the door and seeing no one in there.
Understand.
So they're dead?
50 men on a task force and Lieutenant Curtis saves the day.
Thank you, everybody, but I got to be straight with you now. Most of the credit for this bust
Goes to you, Lieutenant.
But even Interpol couldn't do any better than the good old LAPD.
That's because most of the officers in the LAPD pull their own weight, Nebuchadnezzar. Not like some adding machine, I mean computer jockeys.
What the hell kind of boss does that in front of everybody? That's horrible. Okay. So, yes, it was as cheesy as I remember it. So it's a bit different to some of the other shows because there's a lot of people who actually know about Automan. So that Jack guy, the lieutenant, has seen him. That the other woman who works in the police headquarters has seen him as well, although she doesn't necessarily know what he can do. That woman from Interpol. So at the end, I know I was kind of saying about flying the plane and it disappearing. That's what happened, but and it looks like they've died. It disappeared while they were flying at height, which basically means he murdered them. His intention was not to capture them, which he could have done something to capture them. He could have flown the plane back, landed it, and they could have been there with guns. He intentionally got them onto the plane, flew it up, and disappeared. So they died. He literally murdered them. And they just kind of skipped over it. He didn't even mention it. Wow, that's quite dark. Considering the sort of the feeling, the feel of the show all the way through, it was quite family orientated, quite fun, light-hearted. But then to do that at the end, really dark. So special effects wise, this was obviously, I say obviously, but I'm pretty sure it was done a couple of years after Tron, which is why he looks the way he does. I'm going to confirm that though. I'll put some information here about that, but it must be, because that's his look is obviously based on Tron. So Tron was obviously all the rage, and it was quite a sort of cultural film at the time. So by making him look like that, I was trying to jump on the bandwagon basically. But it didn't work because it was only 13 episodes. I don't know why it was cancelled. Again, as we go along, I'm sure I'll find out more information about that. But yeah, so he can create that fast car, the fancy car, which I'm pretty sure was a Lamborghini. Again, I'm sure I'll have had information about that in the trivia, which looks very unique, as does the plane. But then he can also replicate, well, at the moment, any vehicle. I'm assuming he can do other stuff as well. And it was a perfect replica, not just outside but inside as well. But it looked exactly like it. There was none of the lights to make it look fancy. And I know that's all done for the TV show. Just trying to understand what his abilities are. So he could make his own car, let's call it the Automan car, look like a standard car if he wanted to. He specifically makes it look fancy and different. Okay, this is a bit weird. Yeah, I mean, it was a fun episode. As long as you kind of, I mean, back then when it was on originally, it would have been quite a fun. It's weird watching it now in some ways. Look at the computers, all the computer banks they had in the background, and just all the computers involved in just doing simple stuff that that would do probably 10 times the power that he had in that room. Excuse me, losing my voice. So it's always fun to watch. Excuse me. Always fun to watch sort of things set in that sort of time period and all the technology involved. I'm still confused on what their plan was. I know they were obviously capturing the people who were going to be leaving, so they couldn't go to competitors, and they were using them to continue their work. And it was the company that they were working for, that they were leaving, who was paying for it. So I don't know. I just don't understand how. I suppose they're still working for the company, and the security, that global security company, must get a payoff. But it doesn't sound financially viable, does it? I don't see. I mean, maybe if they were really at the top of their game, working on breakthrough technology that could make hundreds of millions, but it doesn't quite make sense or hold together that. But it's very much based on a I'm sure it was based on a Bond film, or a Bond film was based on that. I would say based on a Bond film. I reckon it's probably like a 70s, one of the late 70s Bond films. Again, I'll try and work out which one it was. That I'm sure there's one where they kidnapped lots of scientists and used them. So yeah, I'll look that up. But yeah, it was a fun hour. I say, I know I am watching it in depth and picking it apart, but if you watch it with an open mind just to enjoy it, it was a fun bit of time. So another 12 episodes to go. So yeah, we shall see the next one next week. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. What are your memories about it? How do you think it stands up to today? And I shall see you for the next one. Good seeing you.